Hello everybody, my name is Davis and welcome back to another video, and today we are here for another evening time snow update video. So let's go ahead and get right into it. This is your November 7th snow update at around 8 p.m. So let's go ahead and get right into it. We're going to play the radar loop here into 7 p.m. Central Time. Go ahead and put that into whatever your local time zone is. And here's what we're looking at tomorrow night, okay? Now this isn't too significant in any specific areas, but it's kind of scattered around, kind of stretching into more areas of the United States than it has been. So we're going to break this down, okay? We're going to start off with the Northwest like usual here. We're in Washington. We're honestly not looking at much, okay? Northwestern Washington, maybe a dusting. If you were in the mountainous regions here in like South Central, Southwestern Washington, you could get a dusting, maybe in isolated areas. But overall, Washington's not really going to be where the main part of this hits. Idaho, okay? Most of the state's going to be in for a dusting. Sandpoint's good to go. No snow there. Same thing for Lewiston, Twin Falls as well. But then, like, once you get into, like, the Idaho Falls, Rexburg area, and even up to, like, St. Marie's in the Panhandle, you're looking at a dusting of snow. But then you get into, like, East Central Idaho. That's where you get into our heavier snowfall totals, where we could see 1 to 2, maybe even in isolated areas, 3 or 4 inches of snow. Now, unfortunately, there's no major cities right on the border of Idaho and Montana, so we can't really get a good reading out of this. You're going to see 1-inch readings scattered all over the place, but that's not really too accurate. Yeah, that's basically what you're going to be looking at, okay? Right along the Idaho-Montana border, 1 to 2, maybe 3 inches of snow possible here, okay? Panhandle of Idaho, dusting, just kind of scattered around, but not everybody's going to see snow in the Idaho Panhandle. Montana, the snow is now going to be stretching into central Montana, but that's only going to be your dusting. Like always, it's once we get into southwestern Montana here that we're going to start to see the heavier snow totals. Again, 1 to 2, maybe very isolated, localized areas, more than that in the mountains of snow here, okay, in southwestern Montana. So you got to look out for that, like around Phillipsburg, Anaconda, Hamilton, Missoula, Clinton, that whole area, okay? 1 inch or 2, maybe 3 or 4 inches of snow possible, all right? Again, I wish we could get a good reading, but there's not too many major cities in this area, so unfortunately it's not looking like that's going to happen. But we will move on to Oregon here, northeastern Oregon, extreme northeastern Oregon anyway, could be in for a slight dusting, okay, just east of Wallowa, so do look out for that. And then we do have an area in like the east central area of Oregon that could see some dustings right around the Burns area, okay, so look out for that. Then we get into like Wyoming here. Now usually Wyoming's the heavily impacted area in the northwest, but it's not looking like that's going to be the case this time around. Southeastern Idaho, or Wyoming, you could get upwards of maybe 1/2 inch, maybe over 1 inch of snow even. There's a 1.1 inch reading there west of Cheyenne, okay? So look out for that. Same thing for northwestern Wyoming, but less intense around the Cody area. But everywhere else in Wyoming, why do I keep saying Idaho? Wyoming looks pretty good to go, okay? Colorado here, okay? The Denver Metro could actually get a good inch or 2 of snow here. Maybe even more than that, as we're seeing some incredible readings in this area, okay? This is the power of what you get whenever you're near a big city and you're getting readings, okay? Look at how much data we're getting here. There's a 4.5 inch reading south of Idaho Springs, 4.3 inch reading south of Gold Hill, 4.1 inch reading northwest of Gold Hill, okay? So we're getting consistent 3 to 4 inch, maybe just 2 inch readings around the northwestern Denver metropolitan area in the mountains, okay? So you definitely got to look out for that. That's some significant snow for this time of year, okay? And then kind of in the rest of Colorado, really only the northern half of the state could see some snow, specifically the northwestern portion, north central portion. You could be in for a dusting of snow, but seriously, this like medium blue color near Denver, 3, 4, maybe even 5 inches of snow in isolated areas possible. That kind of shows you that whenever we get a 1 inch reading here in the darker blues in Montana, it's not actually 1 inch. It's way more than that, okay? Anyway, Utah, okay? Western Utah could be in for a dusting. Salt Lake City, if you're in the eastern portion, could get a dusting, but also far west Salt Lake City, but the central Salt Lake City looks good to go. Northeastern Utah, possibly in very extreme northeastern bits of northeast Utah, so look out for that. Nevada, okay? The eastern portion of the state's probably in for a dusting. California, east central area could be in for a dusting around the Mammoth Lakes, Big Pine region, but that's not going to be too significant. And then we get into into like Arizona even now, where we're getting a dusting of snow reading here in north central and northwestern Arizona around the Colorado City area. Okay, right near Fredonia. That's an odd name. Okay, anyway. Let's go ahead and move on to the upper Midwest here, because that is going to be our next area that's going to get impacted by the snow potentially. Oh, and I guess technically in a tiny portion of Nebraska here, there's a dusting reading, but that's no big deal. Upper Midwest, okay, North Dakota, the northern portion of the state could be in for a dusting, upwards of half an inch possible. Minnesota, okay, there's this one area in northeast Minnesota that's really looking intense around the Grand Rapids region. Unfortunately, Grand Rapids, it's pretty big, but it's not big enough to get those crazy readings like we were getting earlier, so we can't get a good estimate of how much snow this is, but just by looking at the colors at the bottom here and how they correlate to this, I mean, 5 or 6 inches in very isolated areas of northeast Grand Rapids. Okay, you gotta understand it's a very small area that's gonna see that, but it is noteworthy that that is possible. That's pretty crazy for this time of year. We don't normally get that much in Minnesota. Okay, northeastern Minnesota, there's a 4.5-inch reading right there, just north of Grand Maria. So you got to look out for that for sure. And then there's the consistent 3-inch readings outside of that in this area in extreme northeastern Minnesota. So definitely look out for that. Wisconsin, the northern portion of the state, could be in for upwards of half an inch of snow, maybe even a little bit more than that in extreme north parts of Wisconsin. Michigan, the UP is kind of just like scattered 1.5-inch readings possible, but kind of just like a scattered area that's going to be kind of at least half an inch no matter where you're at in the UP. Again, upwards of 1.5 inches, so do look out for that. And then you get into like the whole northern portion of the UP here, and there's a 2.3-inch reading southwest of South Range, so look out for that. And then you get into Michigan, the rest of the state here, and then you do get a dusting in that area, so do look out for that. Finally, the northeastern snow event that is going to be coming up. It's very minor, very insignificant, but I still want to cover it just in case anybody wakes up with some unexpected flurries. Okay, the western portions of Maine here, specifically like northwestern portions of Maine. Maine's an odd state to call like northwestern because this is really pretty far south, but like what else would you call northwestern? Anyway, northwestern Maine, possibly a few tenths of an inch of snow here in extreme portions of it, like literally just a few counties. But New Hampshire, I always get these two mixed up. New Hampshire, the northern portion of the state could be in for a dusting upwards of half an inch. I feel like that's kind of my signature catchphrase for New Hampshire and Vermont at this point. Dusting of snow upwards of half an inch possible for the northern portion of the state, and that is true for both of them this time. So look out for that. Even New York State at this point, northeastern New York State, you gotta understand this is once again very isolated areas, but you could be getting a dusting of snow, okay? So do look out for that. Malone area, Altona, Peru, Plattsburgh, Beekmantown, you could be in for a dusting potentially. But that's pretty much it for today. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.